Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock, we decided that we're going to talk about the country's business and really talk about what's happening in the country these days. Today on the show, we will be talking about Bitcoins. We're going to be talking about all kinds of investments and stuff like that. We're also going to be talking with some people who are in from Florida and also some people who are in from Arkansas. You know why we're going to talk with them? Because they have all kinds of things that they are proprietors of. You need to get that. And interestingly, nobody even knew this. But the thing that's going to happen here is that tomorrow, right here in the Bahamas, we're going to start the debate on this whole idea about cannabis, the cannabis industry. Yes, tomorrow we're going to start the debate on that. And that means then that you have got to be ready. All the people who have been players in this game for a little while now, people like Terry Miller and them, they're going to be a part of this debate tomorrow. They won't be a part of the House of Assembly debate, but they will be a part of the debate that's going to happen all the time for the next couple of weeks. You need to know about that. A lot of things are happening for us in the Bahamas. A lot of things are happening in many cases. Interestingly, as I said before, two of the gentlemen who are here with us today, they know a whole lot about the cannabis industry. In fact, one of them is a big time supplier. Not that he wants to do business in the Bahamas, but that's an open thing. That's going to happen. Maybe somewhere down the road. I'm saying to you, it's just interesting that he came here today, unexpected to me, unexpected to Lincoln Bean even, because Lincoln Bean didn't even know, because I had a conversation with him this morning, just today, and he just was telling me about this whole thing about cannabis. And then I got to find out that he's the proprietor of two dispensaries in the United States. You need to understand. Sometimes things just work just according to it's supposed to just work that way. And now the Attorney General's office is actually looking forward to this debate in the Parliament. It may happen tomorrow. It may happen as early as Wednesday, but maybe it's going to happen tomorrow. They want to start things off. That's the debate it's going to be talking about this time around on cannabis in the Bahamas. It's it's called medical marijuana. That's what we call it. Some people call it medical cannabis and all that kind of stuff. Fancy names, but the whole idea is that some people want to be a part of it, and the people who want to be a part of it need to be a part of it, and they are willing to be a part of it in no uncertain terms. And they're going to be mentioning that. You better believe that. Today, though, on the show, we're talking to Lincoln Bain, who is going to be, you know what Lincoln Bain is all about, right? Lincoln Bain, everybody knows that this man wants to end up being in the chair of this country as prime minister. Believe that. There are many people, thousands of fans are all around the Bahamas, all around the world, who are pulling for him to do something wonderful like that. So we have a good group of company people here today who are going to talk and talk and talk. And you may be enlightened. You may be satisfied that, hey, this may be a good thing after all. So Lincoln Bain, we want to welcome you to the show. How are you, my friend?
I am awesome, Steve. I am awesome. And thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to be here to talk with our Bahamian people every Sunday at 5 o'clock. And we thank you to all of the thousands of people who are watching this online right now. We are on every social media platform that you like. We're on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn, etc. And but we're also on the radio on Peace 107.5 FM.
Get it right.
Yeah, I got to get that right. Don't mix this up.
No question about it.
Yeah.
And of course, we're also going to be talking today with some men who are here with us today. One of the men, Stephen Landers, he is out of Florida by way of Arkansas. He is in Florida these days, residing and all that kind of stuff, living the good life, I believe. And of course, we're also going to be talking with Ben Smith, who is from Arkansas. They were buddies once upon a time. I believe that they were buddies once upon a time.
Yes.
And now
Way
that's what's been happening. So I want to say hello to them both and see how things are going. Good afternoon.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
How you been?
Well, I tell you, it's just a pleasure to be here. Obviously, I understand why Lincoln is on this radio station because you have the best voice in radio
Yes, he does.
of all time.
Yes.
It's amazing. I swear, I can
Say.
sit here and listen to you talk.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
great.
it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
So,
don't make me feel too
you got a
good.
face for radio too.
That's great. That's even better. I used to be on television one time. I was handsome.
I believe that. I believe that. You
That's
can
how
do
it
it.
is.
There's no doubt you can do it.
But listen here, Ben, how are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
All is well.
Yes, sir.
You're a little shy. First time on the mic.
That's it. First time.
But listen,
Many time on YouTube. First time on a
now
Bohemian
you're
radio
in the
station.
big time. Now
That's
you're in the
right.
big, you're on Peace 107.5. You're in the big
I've
time.
made it.
So we're happy to have you both here today with us.
Thanks.
And we hope that you can enjoy this conversation and make this thing
Absolutely.
very, very worthwhile as we talk about things today. Lincoln Damon, let's say you, man. How you been?
I have been awesome, phenomenal. You know, I've been in this work, traveling from island to island, fighting for our people. And so, again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for being here. We're going to have an interesting conversation today about the new Bahamas and things that needs to happen and things that are happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to put on my radio voice. Steve, I'm almost there. Radio voice. Of course, these guys from the United States of America, and they have a lot of expertise in different areas. One of them especially is Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining, et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to talk about some stuff today. But before I get to that, I want to talk about the hot topic around the world today, just to bring it up and mention. And the hot topic is really Donald J. Trump.
That's right.
And it's so
Good
coincidental.
old Trump.
Yeah, good old Trump.
They tried to take Trump out, eh?
Yeah, they
My
tried
My
to.
goodness.
Hold them back.
Yeah, but that's not gonna work. But what's so interesting, for all of you who are watching this from wherever you are, you know, we had an incident where a whistleblower in the Bahamas was shot while he was doing a live.
Mhm.
And now Trump was shot while he was doing his live rally. And you know, there are always people who try to silence truth tellers.
Mhm.
And the one way I decide on who I'm going to follow is whoever the status quo is attacking. If the status quo is attacking someone, I'm with them because it's a reason the status quo was attacking them. And I've learned that from even in the Bible. You know, the status quo was against Jesus. In fact, they killed him. They killed all the
They
prophets.
crucified him.
And they killed all the disciples.
Absolutely.
You know, they killed Martin Luther King. You know, they killed Mahatma Gandhi. They killed Abraham Lincoln, a good Republican.
Great one.
And so that's normally how I figure out, you know, which
So when
which
you're
way it's
speaking the
good to go.
truth, they don't want to hear you.
No, they
They don't
don't.
want to hear any
The
whistleblowers.
status quo doesn't want to because
Leave
they
that
want to.
alone.
Yes, they want to
Leave well enough
continue.
alone.
Yes.
And even in the Bahamas, Lincoln Bay right now, we've had all kinds of scary moments because when this thing happened with the Royal Bahamas Police Force, not that we want to talk about it, but when this thing had actually happened, it was on social media, it went viral. I mean, everybody was talking about it. It was on the lips of everyone.
Mhm.
And so imagine somebody who's in charge of CID, the Criminal Investigation Department, being accused of something like that. And then, of course, this other shooting happened elsewhere in the world. He wasn't in the Bahamas. He was in Miami, South Florida, so wherever it was. Then it just made it all worse. And so people were like talking about all this kind of thing. I cautioned them on my show. I said, listen, we're not talking about that today. We believe that let the law take care of these people themselves. If they're so involved, let the law take care of that. And we will sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride and see what the justice system brings about. That's how I saw it. And I still see it that way. But now that you mentioned that, when you look at that along with the fact that there was a missing woman here for the last 3 weeks in the Bahamas
Mhm.
who came to the yoga retreat, and here it was, she
American
went
woman.
missing, American woman. You know, this didn't go too well during the time of our independence. We mentioned all those things, it didn't go too well for us because it made it look as if something was untoward, this situation. And then, of course, they were looking for the family and ended up blaming the family members of the woman who was missing, the Casey, what's her name again? Casey, should be her name, but she was missing, and the family said to our police that you're not doing a good job.
Oh, Taylor. Taylor.
Casey Taylor. All that made it kind of tough for us during our time of independence, 51 plus years we've been an independent nation. So it didn't look too good. I didn't like it. I was hoping that it would be better. But now that it's all behind us, because we just finished independence on July 10th. Today is now July 14th. So you understand how we felt as Bahamians. We didn't like it. We apologized for it. The Ministry of Tourism looked for her, and they looked and they couldn't find her, and she's still not been found. And so we are entering another few weeks, and that means that this can be 4 weeks solid that she's been missing. We hope that they find her. But there are other good things that's been happening to us as a people. One of the things is that we are ready to roll the royal carpet and to do some things in the Bahamas for the Bahamians. And that's a good thing. So if people are looking forward to that, we say, welcome aboard. And with that, I just want to just be reminded that we have with us today Steve Landers and Ben Smith who's from Arkansas. They are here because they want to lend to this agreement to make sure that we are going to always look good. Not that they can do anything personally about it, but the fact is that these people mean well. The Americans mean well to the Bahamas. The Bahamas is a place where Americans are friendly with us in the Bahamas, and we are the friends of the Americans. That's just the way it is. Yeah. So we have to do the things that we must do always and make sure that we are living up to the standard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Lincoln, you take it.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. And I just want to say I was talking to these guys, about, and I'm talking to a lot of people internationally about how we can improve the Bahamas, because there are a lot of people who have experience in this stuff.
Yes.
I was talking to these guys about, Bitcoin and the Bitcoin revolution, etc. And they decided to come down here and come and see me. And when they landed, I heard that they had, a plane and they were going to come and land. And when they landed, I mean, they landed in a plane that's like Trump's plane, a jet.
Is that right?
I thought I was expecting to see
you guys.
I was expecting to see some propeller, and the propeller landing and all the noise. Well, look, I saw a jet, and I was like, Steve, you came in a jet. And he's so humble. He's like, yeah, it's okay. But these guys are real professionals, and these are the kinds of people we're talking about. I had a stockbroker from Merrill Lynch on a couple of weeks ago, but we want to take this country to the next level. And we were talking about the Bitcoin revolution and Bitcoin on the whole, and how it could improve the Bahamas, and we can do what El Salvador did. All right, but I'm going to get into that discussion in a minute. I just want to say welcome to the Bahamas, guys.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you're enjoying it so far.
Yep, love it.
Well, I mean, hanging out with you is obviously a lot of fun. And what is truly amazing, and you can really see it. You can see the passion in your voice about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people you talk to, like we'll just be talking to, somebody that works, in a restaurant or a resort or a taxi driver or whatever, and they're all like, they get what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what you're doing is really speaking to a lot of people, and it's something you should be applauded for. It's impressive.
And a lot of those, we did that without you being present.
That's right.
Yeah.
And which is important, because I asked several people, so how's the politics on there with the Trump thing and all that here recently? We're in the politics, obviously. And they kind of give us the same rundown, much like what we are experiencing in America, the same problems, same disdain for the government and how things are working. And and I said, well, I've heard about this Lincoln Bain guy, and as I'll bring that up, and they're like, oh, they just sing his praises. And I was like, well, it's actually we are here to meet him, actually. And
is that right?
So it's been very pleasant to hear the refreshing. I think it's important to understand that the people are not the government in any country.
Absolutely.
Right.
Not.
It's very, but the government must represent the
The
people.
No
And
question
that
about
is
it.
what's important. And what Mr. Bain seems to be doing here is really resonating with that representation of the people, which is the most important thing that a man can do for his country.
Wow, that's awesome. These guys have been investigating me behind my back. But yeah, of course, we're doing this for the people. That's we and it's for my country, man.
Right.
I love this country. I love the people, and I feel that this could be the greatest country in the world. We're gonna Trump on that. All right, he's gonna make America great again, but we're gonna make the Bahamas great. Before we go on, I want to talk about that. You guys support Trump?
Yes,
I do, yes.
You didn't even think about that.
Not
Yeah.
not in question.
There's
Not
no
in
question.
no question.
And it's not a Republican Democratic thing. I could honestly care less about which political party a person is a part of, but it's his soul and his passion for America.
I
As
see.
an American, we're all proud of our own country, and we should be.
Absolutely.
And Trump really embodies the spirit of humanity. I feel like I mean, he is. I don't agree with his character a lot of times, but I can look past that when he's doing right, because I have to worry about my son and my grandchildren in the future and their grandchildren, right? And I feel like that's what he's doing is going to help create an environment in America that we can push that forward. Now, there's going to be a lot of pushback and blowback from the people in charge and people who hate that, his character. And I really feel the same with Mr. Bain here about when I've spoken to Bohemian people, that they really feel the same way as I feel for my country.
Wow.
What about you?
No, there's no doubt. I mean, what I think that Trump understands more than anybody is that, at the end of the day, as a business person, if I spend money on something, somebody hands me a bill and they expect a check. And, a lot of the lifetime politicians that have been in our government have no idea what that's like. They have no idea what it's like to employ someone or to, provide a tax base for, a community. And, I think that what Trump is really fundamentally wanting to do is restore democracy where it is not, the federal government is not necessarily running everything, and they're trying to get it down to the community and get it down to where, because what's right in my community may not be what's right in someone else's community. And so the local government, to me, and the smaller government that they have more accountability to, I think is something that he is ultimately for, and trying to reduce, the waste. I mean, we spend, if you look at the Congressional Budget Office's, explanation of what we spend money on, it's insane. I mean, the insanity of trying to figure out putting shrimp on treadmill. I mean, we literally pay someone to do that. And those are the kind of things that need to change. Funding countries that hate our guts. I mean, we don't need to be doing that. I mean,
we should fund friendly countries.
That's right.
That's right.
And we're
Friendly countries like the Bahamas.
That's right.
Like the
Exactly.
well, I mean, yeah, the relationship between the United States and the Bahamas should be one of the most firm foundations that we have.
It should be just like us in Canada.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're so close in proximity. There should be, a lot of love. We Americans spend a lot of money down here, I believe, in tourism.
Absolutely.
And we spend a lot of money in Florida.
And y'all
Yeah,
send
no.
them, but that's what I say,
Can't
backwards
compare,
too,
right?
right? But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But
Let me say this though. I wanted to button this because of some things that you were saying. You're spending a lot of money on people who, in fact, don't really mean the place no good in America. Here we are in the Bahamas. We have a beautiful embassy that we are very, very proud of now. It looks so
very nice.
It's so wonderful. The other thing is that we now need to look at some other areas that we can see. We are smack dab in the middle of a hurricane season. Hurricane season starts in June and continues until November. We still don't have the kind of amenities that we can utilize because we have all this passageway with all this water, you know, $700 in the sun, and we've got to get to these people. We've got to reach these people. So I'm going to be quite frank with you. Not that I'm doing the job of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, because he is well capable and understands what to do. He's very, very capable. But I'm just letting you know, because the lobby is here, that we have to be able to reach our people in these hard to reach areas when hurricanes come. We just had one with Beryl, bombarded the Caribbean, and now we're expecting something to happen here even now. So I'm just as a matter of lobbying, just to say, listen, you think you could use your influence to talk with some people who, in fact, say, well, you know, we ought to be able to send some craft across. So we ought to send some helicopters. We ought to send some things that even if we do it on loan, I don't know how the government will do it, because that's their business. I'm not getting in that business. I'm just saying, we don't have these things. My people need these things.
That's right.
We need these things because we don't have any hurricane shelters. And so at the end of the day, we've got to put our people
Steve,
in place.
Steve, I want to make this clear to you. In the New Bahamas, we're not going to beg any country for anything.
Understood.
We have the natural resources to be able to benefit our people, and America is going to be borrowing money from us one day.
That's good.
All right, just like they borrow money from China, about $500 billion every year from China. America is going to be borrowing from us one day. And remember me saying those words: if Bahamians are ready for change, they will see the first world countries borrowing from us. Just like all of them borrow from a country that is not first world, that is still considered a developing nation. They borrow from China every year, and they're going to borrow from us based on what we have.
Well,
it's fascinating, you know, spending time with Lincoln and him showing us around. Just, you know, Ben and I's brains are exploding with just looking at all the resources that are locked in, that there's so much money that's not being utilized for the Bahamian people. And I mean, I think it's very clear that that's what you want to do, is unlock that.
Yeah, for the Bahamian people.
That's right.
Yeah. And Ben, you actually spoke to Trump a few weeks ago.
Yes, about 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. Oh yeah, we so I'm the president of the Arkansas Blockchain Council, and there's a group out there called Satoshi Action Fund. That actually, one of them, the founders, worked for him as the chief of staff for the EPA, friend of mine, and well, it's probably about 2 months now, and he wanted to know about the advisory boards of what Bitcoin is and cryptocurrency and how we can benefit.
Trump wanted to know that.
That's right. Trump wanted to know that, and then so there was myself, a few other blockchain presidents from the other states, and a few CEOs of some other companies, and they all wanted, Trump wanted to know how we can benefit, how America can benefit and bring that resource home. But I would argue that Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoin is different from the FTX and the Sam Bankman-Frieds of the world. You have to separate that. Bitcoin and crypto, in my eyes, are two different things. Bitcoin is freedom money. Bitcoin, when you fix the money problem, you fix the world. Right, that's a humanitarian mission that I'm passionate about, and bringing free. When I say free money, obviously not free money, but freedom money, where you're not locked into what you can and cannot do. There's no permission from a bank that tells you how you cannot spend your money.
So, in other words, you don't think that central bank digital currencies are the way to go?
That's control.
That's control. That's right.
So a central bank digital currency, effectively, they would have probably more control over what people do with their own money than you even do now. And you know, I know that the FTX deal is very fresh on everyone's mind here, and that has to be put aside, because what he was doing was criminal negligence, and Bitcoin is not that. You know, the community of Bitcoin is passionate about freedom and utilizing it for what it is, and not using it for what it is.
And I think, and the reason I ask all of that is because it's interesting that Trump was doing the investigation on that, and was talking to you guys because he is not down with the system controlling the people. It sounds like he's about freedom. Because if he is talking to persons to deal with blockchain and crypto, et cetera, that means that he doesn't like the control, how they're controlling the money, how the system is controlling the money, and he's looking towards freedom.
Well, he's definitely, America is the world reserve currency, right? Like everything currently, that's right. And probably for a remainder of our lifetime. However, we don't have to be pigeonholed into one corner, right? We can, I think his beliefs and then my beliefs are that you need a variety of sources of income, sources of resource, and he's open to that. Obviously, he's a businessman, so anything a businessman can make money on, they're somewhat, open to it. And going back to the CBDC, central bank digital currency,
we have one called the sand dollar.
I'm aware.
It's not catching on, really.
Right. So
and I hope it doesn't catch on.
The fear that I have with CBDCs is if you think they control your money now, if you have a CBDC on the blockchain, they can stop you from purchasing anything. And what I like to
Is that right?
Well,
yeah.
So I use this because I'm a big man for the people that can't see them. I use it. This example of CBDCs. Let's say I have heart issues or high blood pressure or something, right? And I'm taking medication for that ailment. I may go out here and buy a cheeseburger at McDonald's, right? Well, I may eat it twice a week, 3 times a week. Well, in the CBDC, they could say, especially in a socialized healthcare system, they could say, well, if we're paying for your medication through the socialized healthcare system,
have something to do with what you eat.
Right. We got to worry about what you're eating, right? And they'll just you can deny DOS, denial of service, and on the blockchain, they could literally tell you, no, you can't go get that McDonald's. Now
they're doing it in China right now.
That's right. Yeah,
or travel.
Yeah, or travel.
Or you're spending too much money on fuel, and so you got to cut that back.
Wow,
that's right.
Or you've flown too many miles this year, and so you can't go visit a family member out in another country. Or, I mean, there's so many things that they could do to just really lock people down. And Bitcoin is freedom. It doesn't eliminate the banks, because at the end of the day, our expenses for the most part currently are in, dollars, either the Bahamian dollar or the US dollar or whatever. So you have to at some level convert the money to something that, somebody will take. Now, if somebody will take Bitcoin, that's great. You don't have to do that. But for the most part, it's not going to eliminate banks, but you can transact at all hours of the day. If the wire cutoff is 5:00 Eastern time and it's 5:30 and you need to buy something, you've agreed to buy something in somewhere else, you can send that money instantly and it's there. And so it's really about freedom and being able to take control of your life, not outside the rules of taxation, or that's something that gets, conflated, is that people think that crypto or Bitcoin is a way to evade taxes. It's not. It's just a way to do business the way that you want to do business as a person, as an individual, and then you take care of your business and everything's fine.
Yeah, I found it so interesting when I heard Trump start to talk about crypto. I was like, wow, where did that come from? And talking to you, I realized what was going on, behind the scene. For Bahamians who don't really know about crypto, can we, like, in a nutshell, kind of explain what is crypto and how could it be beneficial to them and to society?
Sure. I'll start with Bitcoin. Well, I'll stay with Bitcoin because I'm what they call a Bitcoin maximalist. Max here.
He has a Bitcoin tattoo on it.
Yeah, bored one night. But no, so here's what Bitcoin is. Here's the example. Say you're a businessman and you were in Kiev when the war started and Russia invaded, and you were worth $1 million. Well, generally, a businessman doesn't have $1 million sitting around, right? It's usually in his assets, his business, his home, his office, whatever it has. Russia invades, and you must escape as a refugee to Poland, right? You just lost $1 million. You have it in traditional wealth fiat in the bank.
Mhm.
The Ukrainian government allowed you to withdraw $3,000 and liquidated the rest for the war effort. You just became poor,
Mhm.
Just like that.
just like that.
Mhm.
You have it in our traditional store of value, which is gold, right? Well, I have to travel and secure that gold. $1 million worth of gold is not only heavy, but I'm passing a bunch of guys with guns headed one way, and I'm trying to get the other way. How am I going to secure it without them robbing me, right?
Mhm.
Or I have $1 million worth of Bitcoin.
Oh, and remember during World War II, the government took everyone's gold.
Confiscated
They
everything,
confiscated everyone's gold. So that is
FDR.
possible. Yeah,
Yeah.
FDR did that.
Yeah, and we were just talking about how I
The New Deal.
kind of like him. Or I have $1 million in Bitcoin. I have my private keys in my head, which is a seed phrase that only I know of 12 words, like a password,
Or 24.
or 24, that's right. And I lose my phone, and I get to Poland as a refugee, a free government phone. I download my app, input my keys. I just transported $1 million securely through space and time permissionlessly. I didn't have to ask
In your
anybody to
pocket.
do it. In my head.
Wow.
In my head. Because if I don't give you my keys, if I don't tell you my password, you're not getting my money. Right?
Wow.
It's impossible. It's
impossible.
Insanely secure, and it's the Bitcoin network has never been hacked.
Wow.
So it's the most secure network. The more computers that come online, the more secure the network gets.
Mm.
So it's insanely secure. It's easy to transport. It's convertible to whatever currency that you want. I mean, almost instantly.
But Steve, there's some people who think Bitcoin is a scam because they don't understand it. What do you
I've
say
been
to that?
scammed on my own in Bitcoin. It's a lack of education, right?
Mhm.
There's bad people all over the world in every industry.
Mhm.
I mean, you can walk down the street and
Doctors, lawyers,
somebody gets you.
you know,
Mhm.
it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's always bad people.
Mhm.
But as you learn and you become educated, that's the key to anything. It must educate yourself about what you're doing,
Mhm.
especially your finances. And once you conquer that education, then it's very secure, it's very safe, and it's not a scam.
Mhm.
It is I would argue it's not good money, and that might be against some people's common beliefs in Bitcoin, because I would argue that it's a store of value, and it should be a reserve asset. It's a commodity, just
Mhm.
like in America we grow in Arkansas. We grow the most rice in the entire world. We grow more rice in Arkansas than China does.
What?
So
Sure.
yeah, it's insane. So we understand. I understand commodities being a country boy growing up on the farm,
Mhm.
and it's a commodity that we can store value through space and time, and that's what Bitcoin is. It is how to build wealth. It's how to get out from under the thumb of the banks, of their loans, of their what's the word I'm trying to think of, where they can. They go after people in poor situations and not very well educated. You know, they go after them, predatory lending practices, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'm 36 years old. I watched my family during the great financial crisis of '08 in America. I watched my dad struggle, and I vowed right then that I would never put my child through that. And when I found Bitcoin, I was like, it was almost like gambling at first, right? And then I spent 100 hours studying and 1,000 hours studying. Now I do it every day, all day. And once you get that opens up the world of opportunities. I'm sitting here, in my opinion, speaking to the next prime minister of the Bahamas,
Mhm.
and that's insane for just an old country boy from Arkansas.
And
It's
the greatest radio.
greatest radio voice ever. And it's all because of Bitcoin. It is a opportunity for everyone
Wow.
if you just
Wow.
put in the effort.
Wow. That's powerful. Some of the problems that people have in the Bahamas, I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm going to say this to you. They restrict Bahamians' access to anything that could benefit us. And shameful for me to have to say this to a foreigner, but we can't gamble in the casino. So when we go in the casino, I have to stand next to you. like an old Negro slave of old, and I have to keep my hands to my side while you can enjoy playing the table. In no other country could this be possible. In my own country, you can do something that I can't do. That's a civil rights issue, and only in the Bahamas would something like that happen. It's disgraceful that our policies have allowed that to continue, and that we as a people allowed it to continue. But that's the way it is, and we just accept it.
What's the point of that?
Initially, when we decided to open a casino, they closed the Hobby Horse race track, and they were opening a casino in the Cable Beach area. And the leaders at the time felt like Southern Americans like yourself, which was most of our tourists, would not want to sit next to a Black Bahamian in a casino. Say again?
What year?
This was in the late 60s, early 70s. All right. And so they felt, they felt like you wouldn't want to sit next to me in the casino. I mean, you guys have a problem sitting next to me in the casino? You're sitting next to me in the radio station.
You're a human.
And so based on that, they started to vilify gambling, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, men are spending all of their money and not taking it home. And they started to vilify it. And then they made gambling illegal so that we couldn't go in the casino. And that was really the idea behind it. But this is a different day and time, but it's not changed. All right. Also, we can't own a casino. All right. And so our economy revolves around the casino hotel. But no Bahamian can own that.
So you don't own the Bahamians don't own the casino. Who
No.
owns the casino?
Not even the government.
Foreigners own the casino.
Oh, well.
All right. The foreigners own the casinos, and we can only come and work for them. Yes, this is the 21st century.
That's the real casinos now. The casinos.
Yeah. And so that is what's happening in this country. Also, we can't freely buy stocks for example, in the New York Stock Exchange, etc. So we're not allowed to invest and make real money, which is what people do.
So that doesn't make a lot of sense, just because, I mean, to your first point, if they thought that Americans wouldn't want to sit next to, Bahamians in the casino, what's the point behind that? Because the stock market.
This one has nothing to do with the first thing.
At the time, that was primitive thinking.
Yeah.
And that was because of the.
So why hasn't that changed? Why hasn't that changed at this point?
In the Bahamas, we're a passive people, and we don't fight for change. And whatever the politicians don't just change, we're not going to fight for it. That's really the culture here. So we're not like other countries where they'll, you change the law, they'll riot in the streets until you fix that. But we're not going to do that. And they keep us divided with politics. So they keep us divided. Whatever your party is supporting, you're just going to support because your party is supporting that.
We call it down ballot voting.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. And so things like investing in the stock market and Forex, etc., they block you from doing those things. But guess what? Also Bitcoin. And so Bahamians are finding it difficult to purchase Bitcoin with their cards, all right, which is the way you do it. So they can't use their cards in many instances to purchase Bitcoin. And then to receive it back to their banks is also a problem after they've made their money. And we have exchange control. So they've really locked us out of anything that can be used to empower us. All right. And so, yeah. And so anything that we could use to get us out of slavery and into power, they block us because the thing that changes election is money. And they want to control who has the money. It's simple as that. And so that's why we don't benefit from our natural resources. They have laws in place to block us and stop us. But we're going to change that. We believe that the Bahamas can become the first crypto economy. All right, real one. I know El Salvador started it, but we're going to take that to another level. All right, we believe that you can have a crypto bank. All right, launch out of Bahamas. We believe that, and this is something that can be done. How do you feel about the advantages of the Bahamas becoming a crypto economy?
I think it would be easy to do. I think it would be, pretty phenomenal because the backbone of Bitcoin are the miners, and you have the
miners.
The miners.
The computers that run the network.
Nobody with pickaxes. I know they
I-
we have to
Explain
explain
it all
that
the
all the time. I mean, I was explaining it to my parents, and they're like, "Well, you're digging a hole." I don't understand. So
Yeah.
it's nothing like that. It's just a computer that's dedicated to enhancing the security of the blockchain by solving complex cryptography. And that's
Understood.
basically what it does. And the miners are the backbone of that. And you've got the resources here to really do whatever you want and really unlock the chains that seem to be holding people down. I mean, I think you're on the right track from that standpoint. I think it'd be easy to do, and you could make this a Bitcoin economy. Trump said that the other day. He, I don't know. That's maybe a different animal. I don't know. Maybe they can figure it out. But about making the U.S. dollar backed by Bitcoin, which would stabilize, and limit some of the things that we do, outside of the U.S. make us mind our own business
And bring in investment into the Bahamas that is not accessible right now from all over the world, right? Bitcoiners, we're almost like locusts. We will come, like I was saying earlier, maximalists. We love it anytime somebody says, "Oh, we're coming there to."
But Bitcoiners are a community.
A community, that's right.
And it's not
like locusts in a bad way.
No, but I mean, it's not like the Sam Bankman-Fried that did what he did. The guys like Ben, the guys like myself, I mean, are more interested in enhancing the way that people use Bitcoin than just like personally making money. It's yes, we want to make money like anybody does, but it's not about that to the point of where you pull what Sam Bankman-Fried did and really destroyed a lot of the credibility. I mean, he set back Bitcoin and crypto, which are two different things to some extent, but he set that back, years by what he did, and he didn't have to do that.
So let me ask you this question: What is the situation now, considering what Bankman did and the court case and all that kind of thing, what he was sentenced and all that kind of thing? What do you think how do you think that people are now viewing the whole idea of Bitcoins?
They're fixing to get their money back.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, they're like this week, next week,
yeah, $16 billion will be.
they're going to start distributing money back to
the people that lost.
Understood. But what about the climate now in the Bahamas for an idea like what Lincoln Bean has to say, well, we want to become a Bitcoin economy, that kind of stuff? Are the people open and fresh to that particular idea now that Bankman did what he did? See what I'm saying?
I think it's an education process, and it's something that's important to me, especially locally in Arkansas, and with what one of the things that the Blockchain Council is doing is we're trying to inform the youth, the people that will listen, that don't just hear it and go and throw up a wall. If you in a 10 or 15 minute conversation, I can generally get somebody to understand what they're doing and what we're doing, and they go, "Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, I'm in." I mean, like it's honestly a relatively easy sell in terms of making somebody understand, but it just takes some time. One of the things that I always encourage people to do, like, I can tell you about Bitcoin all you want, but you've got to do your own research about it to understand. I mean, there are so many, like, I would say the Bitcoin way is the Bible, right? I mean, in general, like it's a great primer for people to get their hands on and read and inform themselves. And then there are so many people, high level, Michael Saylor. There's so many people that have a intense knowledge. And I mean, Michael Saylor's got what? Billions of dollars. I mean, he is buying Bitcoin as fast as anybody. He's taken his stock from $400 a share to $1,200 a share simply by buying Bitcoin. That's all they do.
So is there any plans? Excuse me. Is there any plans for there to be some kind of major investment as far as the information flow is concerned, so that you can teach people in the 15-minute thing that you're talking about, teach people that this is something that they ought to take a serious look at, a sobering look at, and get on board, because this is something that it could be phenomenal
So
in their own way, and that they can increase their own wealth, and not only that, increase wealth in their business and that kind of stuff.
that's right. So I'll tell you what we're working on in Arkansas, and that's to get it into our school system. I'm not educated on the Bohemian school system or anything like that. I literally just here to meet Mr. Bain in person, and we're working to get the Bitcoin standard placed into the school curriculum. That way, our kids can grow up with some financial understanding of their future, and obviously that benefits Bitcoin, because anytime a person uses Bitcoin, it secures the network and makes it more valuable. I would argue that in the Bahamas, it would probably be easier to do that, because we're starting from essentially nothing, right? Like in America, we're fighting huge financial
Yes,
markets
markets and all
right?
that kind of stuff.
Y'all,
because
you
they
said you're 51 years old,
want to
right?
keep their own thing going.
But I mean, y'all's nation is 51 years
51.
old, right? And I think, yeah, okay. So
51 years old.
I think back to when America would have been 51, and I've been in the 1820s, 1830s, right? Well, what was going on in America? We were still a young country trying to make it, right? And so I think about the Bahamas as a young country that it has the potential to blossom and become a beautiful, not that it's not beautiful now, but a beautiful oasis of education for people that have been repressed and people that are asking and really wanting help. In America, I would argue that a lot of our people aren't asking for help, but by talking to everybody here, everybody seems to want help and willing to work for that help. That's what's key. Not a handout, not given welfare state, but truly work hard at, have a hard work ethic.
Yes.
And be good people, like you were saying, passive people. And I think that's important, and that could grow here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to touch back on the Bitcoin mining, because I know that's what you do. You build Bitcoin mines. And,
yes, no,
I've seen. I think there's a warehouse, one that you did that has like thousands of computers in them,
right.
just to put scale. I think one has 4,000 computers, and can hear another one with like 2,500 or something like that. And so that's what you guys do. I know that you own some Bitcoin mines. Now, Bitcoin mines take energy, they take electricity. And so one of the problems we have is that our electricity is expensive. Our fuel surcharge went up to recently 27 cents a kilowatt hour. That's a fuel surcharge, while the regular charge is up to 15 cents. All right, it is a scale, so it goes up to that. That's way too much to do any kind of. You can't even live doing that. It doesn't make any
very
sense.
Unattractive for any industry.
Yes,
whether
any
it's Bitcoin mining or anything.
Or living as a human being.
That's right.
And the reason this is happening is because we have corrupt governments who, the politicians from both the Progressive Party and the FNM own the company that sells the oil to the electricity company.
Right.
And because we are so divided politically, we continue to suffer while they're making the money by making us suffer.
Yeah.
And so that's really what happens. So it's difficult for us to do anything. We use under 400 megawatts of electricity in the whole country. And so it's like 300 and something million megawatts of electricity.
Yeah.
And I was talking about Arkansas recently, and the miners that you guys have in Arkansas alone.
That's right.
How much megawatts does your miners in Arkansas use?
So in Arkansas, we use about 375 megawatts. So
that's just for miners.
Just for mining. That's right.
They use more megawatts, or about the same amount of megawatts for mining, just for the computers that do the crypto mining, as our whole entire country uses.
Serious.
So that means that you have a lot of electricity problems. Like your electricity has to constantly be down.
So
here's
because we can't keep ours up.
The other thing is that we're not using energy that would be used for something else. We're actually using our excess energy, and that's it.
Wow.
So when people think of crypto and they
That's
think of
excess
mining,
energy?
that's
That's
excess
right, yeah.
energy.
So how it works is we have something in America. We have something called the MISO market. So
Mhm.
let's say my utility provider, Entergy, is mine in Arkansas. They provide our state with power, and let's say Oklahoma, OG&E, needs power that day for maybe a heat wave or something, right? On the MISO market, the OG&E would ask Entergy to send them more power, that excess amount of power. So we'd go, or linemen would hit switches and send that power towards Oklahoma, another state. What Bitcoin miners do is we go around, that's not happening every single day, but we have a demand that we must meet every day, right? Like if we need 100 megawatts of power for a given area, then that generator cannot be throttled back and forth. Y'all's diesel generators, it's either all or nothing. The input has to be there and to equal the output of that generator, right? So if that generator can create 100 megawatts, that's all it can do. It can't do 90 megawatts because that's the demand, okay? So there's that excess of 10 megawatts. For Bitcoin miners, we eat that excess because they may sell it for half a cent a kilowatt hour
Wow.
to Oklahoma, but they can sell it to a Bitcoin miner for 4 cents a kilowatt hour. So they're making a lot more money, and it's beneficial to us. And then they call us up on, say, when Oklahoma needs that power. And they say, then on Thursday, it's going to be 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and between the hours of 3 and 7, you must shut down your farm in order to feed back that power to the grid. So we shut down, quit using that source of power, and we're then sending it out to the people that really need it.
Wow.
So that's how it's a balancing effect. You talk about your grid always having blackouts, right?
Mhm.
It goes both ways. When you have an excess amount of energy, it can cause blackouts also. Just it's not always a depletion of that energy. The excess energy can also hurt the grid and cause overheating of your substations, overheating of your breakers, and flipping those substations off, causing blackouts.
Wow. That is just amazing that we can't manage, a few 100 million megawatts, and you guys are using that same amount of energy just to mine crypto.
Yes.
And I just wanted to put that in perspective to the Bahamian people, because our government makes everything sound so big and so impossible. You're managing that amount of energy for your computers.
That's right.
Well, we're almost the smallest state in the union on
That's
top
right.
of that. I mean,
Wow.
this is we're I don't know what we're ranked. It's
real small. So Texas, the miners in Texas use about 4.2 gigawatts of power.
What?
So that would be about 9 times the amount of what the Bohemian people.
And that's just what
absorb.
they use.
That's just what they use, and they do the exact same thing. So we go in and we balance the grid, and we feed back as needed, and we consume as needed.
Now, what China did for many years was they use alternative energy in order to mine.
That's right.
You've been here, and I think your pink skin says that you understand our number one natural resource, which is the sun.
That's right.
And so you got to feel the sun today, and so we're not using the sun, of course, with solar energy, because again, the PLP and F&M, they benefit from selling the oil to PPL. So they're not going to use solar right now. In fact, they're literally, because we signed some agreements, going to have to go into it, but they're going to let the same company purchase the solar and then sell us the energy that should be free. They're going to sell it to us through
Well, there's
solar.
always a cost to anything, right?
Of course.
But your renewables, such as solar, can drive down your prices to sub 10
You
cents for sure.
You have an almost unlimited amount of available power that it just needs to be unlocked. And if it gets unlocked, costs are going to go down.
We passed the dump. I took these guys. Can you imagine tourists coming to the Bahamas and going to see the dump?
I wanted to see your dump.
Yeah, they wanted to see the
They were
dump.
most excited about.
Yeah, they not the beaches. They wanted to see the dump in the Bahamas, and so we took them to the dump. We drove on to the dump, And the dump, based on what I was hearing you guys say, is more valuable than most things that we have, based on energy. Can you explain that?
It's just an unused, untapped, resource. The methane that gets locked into waste is unlockable, and it's mineable with Bitcoin miners, and you can do this while positively affecting the environment versus negative.
Those same diesel generators, because we do this in West Texas, we tap into the oil sites out there. The first thing they bring up is natural gas, right? And they take that natural gas and they repressurize it, send it back under, and that hydraulically lifts the oil out of the ground. Then it's separated because it's so remote. It's not valuable enough to load up on a truck or pipe out that natural gas somewhere. So we light it on fire, because methane is a huge greenhouse gas. So when we light it on fire, we convert it down to carbon dioxide, and which is still bad, but we breathe out carbon dioxide. That's something we just can't help, right? As long as we're going to have oil, we're going to have it. But then we take what we call gensets, a diesel generator, much like y'all have at that power plant I saw, and we pipe in natural gas, because you can convert the diesel generator, to consume that natural gas, and then we buy it for very, very small fractions of a penny to mine Bitcoin. Setting Bitcoin mining aside, you could power those generators that you have out there out of your dump, because organic material.
So we can create electricity from the dump.
That methane. You were telling me that in the past y'all had dump fires all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of the burping of that methane. That methane ignites under the soil there. The organic materials, such as your food waste and all that, burps off methane, and it gets hot and it combusts, right? We could pipe that out and send it to generators, and you could not use diesel, right? to burn it, right?
Yeah.
So
there was a company that offered that to the Bahamas before. It's called Waste to Energy, is what it really is, and they, I believe that some money was paid under the table based on what they said to me to government officials, and there was a big scandal with a letter of intent that was written signed by someone who shouldn't have signed it, and then they never went forward with it. And in talking to those people, I told them, you should have known that this wouldn't go forward. I don't care how much money you pay the Progressive Labour Party. They are making money, both them and the F&M, by selling the oil. Why are they going to let you use the dump in order to power the country and lose out?
And that's not a one solution fixes all, right? When it comes to the utility market, has to be a good mixture of resources, because it could be, if we're talking solar, it could be a cloudy day. If at nighttime, what are you going to do, right? Like, you might have to run those diesel generators, but that will bring, when you have that energy mixture, it brings down that price. So you don't have a 27-cent fuel charge because you're piping in or bringing in on a boat diesel, right? Like,
just creative ways that we want to really prosper the country.
Now, I don't want you to be confused. The fuel surcharge has nothing to do with fuel.
Oh, in America, that's what it does. That's
but in the Bahamas, they just called it that.
Okay.
All right. It actually was to pay off a loan that the power company had. So they called it a fuel surcharge and started charging us that. But even when the loan was paid off, they just kept doing it for years and years and years. And they never got rid of it. But it has nothing to do with the cost of fuel.
So you don't have a sunset law.
They
do. We call them sunset laws. Once it's paid for, that then goes away, right? Yeah.
No, we have corrupt governments, and they're going to take as much money from us as they can.
But in America, we vote locally on those laws, right? Like, and I understand that's something y'all don't necessarily have the advantage of here.
No, we're going to do that. We're going to bring in some. We're going Republic, one in the New Bahamas, and we're going to have something called island states and city government, where local cities and communities will now have the power to vote on certain things, and they determine what happens in their communities. We're going to take power away from the prime minister and the politicians and give it to the people.
Right. Yeah, your community, you can spend your money in your house a lot better than your neighbor spends the money in your house, right?
Yes.
So it's much better to do that.
Mhm.
You always have to have a figurehead of a government, and to take care of the
National
national
issues.
problems, right?
Mhm.
But you, like we were saying, you can spend your money better than your next door neighbor. So,
Mhm.
and that's what's important. So you get to actually, like in America, we get to actually vote on those things. Like
Mhm.
if we need a new hospital, we may add a 1 cent tax to our sales tax that's going to hang out for 5 years.
Mhm.
It pays off that loan. After 5 years, that tax goes away.
Wow.
So
Nice.
it's not a perpetual tax on us.
All right, I'm going to open the phone lines, and Steve is going to have to give me the phone number because we can't use the regular phone number that we normally use today because we're using those cameras. But we again we're
376
okay. I putting it on the screen.
376-9234 or 821-9234.
Or
821-9234.
okay, so persons can see it on the screen now. I'm talking to Steve and Ben. These guys are businessmen from the United States of America, and they have some, very original businesses. They wanted to come down and meet me in person. Just want these guys to know that, listen, guys, Steve, there's something called Zoom. And so you don't have to pull out the big jet and pay the pilots to come down and see little old me in the Bahamas.
It's a nice couple of days. I wouldn't have been able to see the dump with the Zoom.
Well, that's true. Is
But
that
that's
true?
the key. We got to see the infrastructure.
Yeah.
The infrastructure is key.
Yeah, definitely. These guys pull out the jet to come and see little old me. I can't wait for us to sit down and have a conversation with Trump and see where we can, how we can work with America to take this country to the next level,
Right.
and not have it taken over by other people. We're having some of the same problems that you have with immigration, etc., and
Yes.
and inflation and all these kind of stuff that we want to fix. But thank you for not using Zoom. I had a real good time hanging out with you guys. And so, and you've been watching us this broadcast on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, it's now called X.
Yeah, X. Yeah, it's hard to say that, right?
Yeah.
What are you tweeting anymore?
Yeah.
But yes, I've been watching for probably 3 or 4 months now since I originally started talking to you.
Wow.
And just trying to educate myself for what problems are taking place here, and just seeing what opportunities lie. You know? And again, the people love you, and it's really amazing what you're working on.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. The phone lines are open. You can call us in 376. I'm sorry you can't call a regular number. 376-9234. Let's make sure that's not on silent. Or 321-9234. So 376-9234 or 821-9234. I want to segue there for a second. Make sure this isn't on silent. I want to segue there for a second, and you have quite a few businesses. Okay, someone is calling. I'll get to that in a minute. Good afternoon. You're live.
Good day, Chief. How you doing?
I'm awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great myself, man. Very amazing show, very enlightening.
Thank you.
Question to you and to the two gentlemen that you have online.
Yes.
If we, as the Bahamas, were to get involved in Bitcoin mining, is it a possibility that we could be able to use these Bitcoins that we mine and actually set us in a position to become a foreign exchange hub?
Sure.
100%. So just what El Salvador did.
Yeah.
So what El Salvador did was they have a volcano just outside San Salvador, and they raised Bitcoin bonds. So Bitcoiners literally sent the El Salvador government Bitcoin, which they then converted to dollars, to finance building out a mine at that volcano. They put a turbine using the steam heat of that volcano and spins the generators, operates the mine, and that money goes back to the national treasury, right, in the form of Bitcoin, because they use Bitcoin as legal tender there. You can do the same thing with the resources, the sun, the methane, trapped methane, hydro here. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do to benefit your people.
Which speaks to the community that I'm talking about of Bitcoiners. I mean, the Bitcoin community funded that project.
Wow.
So there's it's like a brotherhood. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, but everybody is trying to help everybody. It feels like so. There's no doubt.
All right, caller.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
So,
376-9234 or 821-9234. 376-9234 or 821-9234. So I want to segue and talk a little bit about marijuana, because what we have done with marijuana in this country is use it as a way to suppress our people and give them jail records and break them down. But when I went to the marijuana expo in Florida, I saw there were young people that were becoming millionaires from this legally and
right.
and using it to help people with autism and people with other issues, glaucoma, cancer, etc. But here they were sending you to jail for a plant, a tree.
Right.
Like literally, you make a coconut tree illegal. I mean, it's a tree.
That's right.
And they were making it illegal. And the thing that I noticed about it, there's something called an oleander plant. That's a flower that you can go in the store and buy. And the oleander plant is poison. People have used it to commit suicide. But you can still go in any nursery, plant shop, and buy it. But you can't buy marijuana. I'm going to let you comment on that in a second. Let me just take this call. Good afternoon, you're live.
Lincoln, and to your guest.
Yes.
You know what's quite interesting? 4 years before El Salvador did what they did with BTC, Bitcoin, I went on a local radio station and I said, I encouraged every Bahamian to buy a Bitcoin, a whole coin, because they would be part of an elite group of 21 million people if everyone had Bitcoin, which many people have many coins. So we know they would be a part of an elite group lesser than 21 million. What is truly sad is it was at that point, the gentleman's name was Mr. Cox on the radio. I said we had $2 billion in U.S. reserves, and the gentleman in the room can say if this made sense. I said, why didn't we just roll the dice on 100 million? How many trillions would we have had today if we had done that at $3,000? It's now 60,000 basically.
I think in 2020, Bitcoin was worth about 3,000 during the halving, and in 2021 it shot up to almost 70,000, and now it's worth 60,000. So that's some serious math right there.
Well, it was actually 3,000. That was 2017 or thereabout. I was on the radio. You know what's even funnier?
Yeah, turn it sideways.
We have our biggest gentleman. We have our biggest natural resource. It's called the sun. We could use that sun to be carbon neutral or net zero crypto. We could turn Grand Bahama. You know where you want to do a Newport, Lincoln, if they don't want to play fair, and I like that idea.
West Grand Bahama.
You're brilliant, because your port will even be shorter to get to than the free port from the U.S. So you would save fuel, and they would come to your port first. But anyway, make that a crypto city that's carbon neutral, being powered by the sun, and the current running through those canals over there. You could actually have electricity for 20 hours a day, free, because you have flat tide. And you would float in an LNG, liquefied natural gas barge, to give you the energy you needed. It comes with the crew, the fuel, and everything. We discussed this back, I believe, in 2014 with John Boswick and myself at the Hilton, to cut our light bill in half instantly. Nassau has a harbor with 15 to 17 mile an hour current. Hydroelectricity there is very viable. So hydro,
they've seen
solar,
Yeah.
hydro, solar, and a floating LNG barge to make up the shortfall. This energy problem is not a problem for us, because we have the best sun for the majority of the year. So think about a carbon neutral crypto. This is banking 2.0 basically.
That's right.
Because the world, once you get digital currencies, are going to gravitate towards something that isn't regulated, traceable, and trackable. And that's when you see the spike in Bitcoin. So this was an issue for 2017, Lincoln, and the 20 million, as we discussed, that they dropped with our NIB money. If they would have dropped that 20 million in BTC at $3,000 in 2017, you would have had $500 million today. I believe you did the math.
Yeah.
So
100 million would have been $2 billion today.
Wow.
exactly.
20x.
So
Wow.
we're missing this opportunity from before 2017, but they can't say they didn't know about it because it was nationally discussed in 2017. And we've chosen not to let our people be trained in this. It's basically a commodity, and you're trading a commodity forex.
Right.
We're not training our people for a conceptual or a digital economy. And we should be leading the world, Lincoln. So we need to revamp the education system.
We're going to do that. And as I said, we're having conversations with people from around the world. And we're going to transform this Bahamas if the Bahamians are ready for it. I want to blow your mind with something else. They borrow money. They'll go to the House of Assembly and borrow $1 billion for nothing, for stuff that we don't even see what they do with it. They could have borrowed $1 billion when Bitcoin was 3,000. And they would have now had $20 billion from that 1 billion and paid off not just the 1 billion, but all of our national debt.
That's a risk, right?
Of course it is.
That's a risk,
Of
obviously.
course.
But if you can print your own money, like any government, is it really a risk?
Yeah.
I mean, they just burn money every day.
I'm going to leave all of you all with this thought. Think about this. We keep saying that all of our leaders are not smart and they're inept and all this foolishness.
They're smart. They're just corrupt.
Right. That's come from the angle they're super smart and they know all of this technology. But they won't help the Bahamian people. And I listen to people trying to vie for government, Lincoln and Grand Bahama. And I tell them this. You've had 50 years of leadership. If they could have done it, they would have done it. Something simple as building a hospital, but they didn't do it. And either they don't know how to do it, and that's forgivable, or they do know how to do it, and they didn't do it, and that's just unexcusable. Anyway, you're on point today. There's many things we can do in this country. Freeport should look like Dubai. I'm going to leave you with that thought.
That's it.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
That's a smart caller right there.
Wow.
Well, he's 100% right. I mean, the resources that we've seen in 2 days are enough to completely transform the country as Bahamians would want it. And I mean, it's really fascinating that it has not been, like he said, I mean, it's been going on for years. It's been restricted, and it doesn't have to be.
And it's a simple reason it's been restricted, and that is because knowledge is not power, ignorance is power. All right? Ignorance is power. And I've been preaching this to the Bahamian people, and that's why they've been keeping you ignorant. Because if I know how to fix a car and you know how to fix a car, it doesn't benefit any of us really. But if I don't know how to fix a car and you know how to fix a car, I need you.
Right.
And so I buy a can of Coke because I can't make a can of Coke. Right? As simple as that. Ignorance is power. And that's why there's intellectual property and secrecy. Because ignorance is power. And they've kept us ignorant. They've kept us ignorant on all of our natural resources and everything in this country. They actually lied to the Bahamian people for all these years that we don't have any natural resources. I mean, you've just been here for a couple of days and you see it with your own eyes. You've driven past and seeing the sun collected.
Because we use that. We're educated, not educated as intellectually or know that, but we do that every day. We're looking for that stuff every day. And again, it's like you were saying, it's to be educated on that is power.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about our natural resources again, but in terms of our connection to a stablecoin. Can you imagine a natural resources backed stablecoin or token? Can you imagine our carbon credits backing our? When we get back, we'll talk about that. We're going to take a break, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back.
This is Peace 107.5 FM, your air of success. And today we're discussing all kinds of things here. And I know you're getting a mouthful and a stomach full because you're now hungry for this Bitcoins and all that kind of stuff. I know what you're talking about. We'll be back in just a minute. live, and he's live today, living color. We've got people in from around the country and the United States in particular, Arkansas and Florida. These guys own a couple of things they're called dispensaries as far as this cannabis thing is concerned. Not only that, they know all the stuff to know about Bitcoins and the rest of it. So you may want to hook up with Lincoln Bain and understand what's happening here, because we got a lot of intelligent people in the Bahamas listening to this today. All around the world we are. We're live in Africa, live in Johannesburg, live in London, live in Atlanta, wherever we are. You can see us live. Hello there. We're live today. And we've got you on. You're listening to Lincoln Bain and his special guest on the show here this afternoon on Lincoln Bain Live. And so, Lincoln Bain, so many things to say. I'm listening to you today.
Awesome, my brother. I wanted to talk for a second about what we talked about before the break. A lot of cryptocurrencies are not backed by anything. And so that's why some people feel it's not real. We actually have something called carbon credits. All right. And I think you guys know a little bit about that. What Sam Bankman-Fried was actually trying to do was he was trying to steal our carbon credits to back his little token.
Right.
Because it was not backed by anything. And that would have really solidified his company. But it was too late and he couldn't get it done. And so we can form our own stable coin backed by carbon credit. Let's unpack that. What do you think about that?
I think it's an outstanding idea. I mean, we could get it going.
Yeah, as far as carbon,
Just get it going.
Just
yeah,
get it going.
well, honestly,
It's that simple.
it is pretty simple. Yeah, I'm not an expert on carbon credits at all. I've never been a part of them really, but I can tell you how to do the blockchain side of it.
There are a lot of. This is where Bitcoin and other coins get convoluted, because there are 17,000 different coins probably.
Mhm.
There's no telling.
Every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the four of us could make one and distribute it, and in that sense, yes, it's not worth anything. Bitcoin is limited by the number 21 million. There will only be 21 million Bitcoin, and every 4 years we have a halving, and that mining income is reduced. It's cut in half every 4 years. We just had one in April, and
But that limits the supply.
Mm-hmm.
Supply demand issue.
Right.
Last Bitcoin will be made in 2141. So all of us in this room, our kids and their kids will be dead. So we've got a long time.
So a stable coin, that's all the stable coins that are out there are backed by assets. They're either backed by gold or Bitcoin or treasury bonds, and so those are tied to the U.S. dollar, and they don't really fluctuate in value, and so it's something that really you could unlock by having a carbon credit backed coin. I mean, it would go like crazy.
Wow. So a real sand dollar that's actually a stable coin, which means it doesn't have all of the fluctuations up and down like Bitcoin does.
That's right.
And that we think that the world would accept.
But it's really worth something. If a CBDC and a stable coin are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
A CBDC theoretically is still going to be inflated by additional supply. When if you cut off cash and you did all of that today and you said we're going to use this CBDC,
Still going to print it.
they're still going to print it. It's just going to be a digital. What's digital anyway, to some extent, but it's just going to be a digital entry into
A ledger.
And so the value of that, just like the U.S. dollar has depreciated in value 7% a year every year for the last
100 years.
Yeah.
Since we got off the gold standard.
Right. And so, Bitcoin doesn't do that. The stable coin in effect would be something that people, they would jump all over.
Right,
Wow.
because it's an investment vehicle, right?
And-
like my understanding of the carbon credit is that you use that to offset
You can,
whatever
yeah.
you're going to
That's
do,
right.
right? And so that's that investment vehicle. In Arkansas right now, we have solar farms popping up everywhere. And
Wow.
it-
In
it-
Arkansas?
Yeah, and
Solar farms?
that's right. So what is happening is,
We don't get near as much sun.
And
we
that's
don't
why
get
I said that.
Yeah, we get like our peak hours is 4.25.
Yeah.
So
What?
what is going on is these third-party companies are building these solar farms and selling the carbon credit to Amazon Web Services. 90% of Amazon's income comes from AWS,
Yeah.
and so they're purchasing the carbon credit from these solar farms.
Yeah.
You could do the same thing with, I think you said, your seagrass.
Yeah.
You know,
It's worth $156 billion per year.
it's way more than our
I know,
solar
yeah,
is worth,
Mhm.
and they're investing like crazy. It's to the point in our state, they're investing so hard that we're worried that it's going to infect our food population for the world.
Wow. And so based on what you just said, we can also create solar farms because we have more sun and sell the carbon credits to companies like Amazon and Google, etc.
Yeah, these guys will buy
Whoever
it up.
wants it.
Mhm.
Wow. But of course, we're not going to do that because our politicians are only concerned about what they can make money from, and they will do nothing else. I just want to show this. I thought this was so interesting. Steve here has a truck. He has a Tesla truck, and it's nice if you're watching online on any of our online platforms, you can see it. And he has his cannabis company on there. So if you're ever in, where's this one in Missouri? Missouri. This one is in Missouri, and so Stairway Cannabis, you can see it there. And he has his whole Tesla truck wrapped. How does that truck run, man?
So it's, it is the most amazing advertising, that we've ever done, because it's a rolling billboard. The side of our building. So when you're driving down the road, I had a guy come in and paint a professional mural, and it looks just like that. And so when people, all of our advertising is surrounding that mural. So when you see that mural, you associate with Stairway, and then you see the Cybertruck, there's Stairway, and then you drive down the road and you can see it in the distance. You can see the mural in the distance, and so you're at the right place. And so that was the whole point. The guy that drives that has worked for me for several years, and he goes around shaking hands and talking to people. And people, he'll be sitting at a charging station, and he'll have 50 or 60 people come up to him and just, hey, tell me about what you're doing. What's a truck? What is this? What is Stairway? What and so we're having a that represents 2 cannabis dispensaries in Missouri, but we're also coming up with a CBD drink that would be something that we could sell, across state lines. We could sell it.
Wow.
So that's in the process of happening right now. And so when you tie those 2 things together, and you see that on the road, and then you see that at the store, and you see it in the grocery store, gas station.
I know my 6-year-old son. I've only seen 2 Cybertrucks in real life in my life. We got 2 in our town now, and I remember the first day we were at.
It stops traffic.
We were at Academy Sports, and we were walking out of it, which is like a hunting store kind of over in the States, and there was one coming through the parking lot. And my 6-year-old lost his mind. He was like, "It's a Cybertruck,
Well, you
Daddy."
can see them just normal. The normal.
Yeah,
you
that's
see
what
them
I'm
from
saying,
a mile
yeah.
away, but then you see that, and you're like, oh my gosh, what in the
Exactly.
world is going on?
But how's it drive?
Drives amazing.
So I have Model S and then X that'll be here this week, and I've always heard bad things about the Beals Cybertruck. One's breaking down, but hopefully Elon's a great guy.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Elon can build anything.
Oh, yes, he can. He's on robots now.
He's on everything.
Yeah, he's building everything.
He's building the world's largest supercomputer in Memphis, Tennessee right now. It'll go online. 187 megawatts all the time being used. for
Wow.
one building.
Wow. Almost as much as our country
Yeah,
for
there you
one
go.
building.
For one
Jesus,
building.
half as much as our country probably. But we want a country where we can progress, where we can sit down every day and think about how we can improve this country, things that we can do to make this country better. And this is why I'm having the conversations all over the world with professionals from all over the world to make this happen. Because we're going to take our carbon credits and trade it. So I'm talking to trading experts so that we can know what to do with our natural resources, our return on investment when it comes in. We take it, invest it on the markets, and we'll be able to get it, give dividends to our people, and build infrastructure and do other things that we need, and even lend to other countries. And so, again, my mission, I'm going to feel that we're successful when America comes to us and say, listen, man, we want to borrow $500 billion. We don't want to borrow from China anymore. We want to borrow from the Bahamas. Then we're doing good. And it's possible. And it's going to happen.
As long as you put in the hard work and effort to do it and dream big, you can do anything.
Definitely. I think a lot of money because I started to research it because it's something that I wanted our government to do, the marijuana and the CBD, etc. I think a lot of the money, though, is in the extraction.
So, obviously, well,
Sorry, I need to explain that because they're listening. That means taking the elements out of the plant and turning it into oil that can be used for other things.
That's right.
Yes.
Right. So yes, the cultivation side, you have to grow the plant, and then you have the extraction process to infuse into oils or tinctures or drinks,
or just sell flour.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean the cultivation side where it's grown is important. In most of the places that we buy product from have indoor facilities that are controlled that look like a one of them's 100,000 square foot building that has multiple rooms in it, and so it's all controlled. There are outdoor grows, although those don't seem to be as successful as a indoor climate control and everything.
So like a hydroponics type
That's
thing.
Right.
Okay.
So we buy the product. It is taxed when we sell it. So when we handle it and hand it to the customer, it's taxed. The city, the city gets a tax. The state gets a tax. The states that are doing cannabis operations are loving the revenue side of it. I'm a libertarian, so I think that adults should be able to do what they want to do within reason, as long as it doesn't negatively affect another person. So if somebody wants to consume marijuana, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want it necessarily around me or around my kids or around whatever. And they put some controls in place to try to minimize overuse. You have restrictions on how much you can buy in a 14-day period. That has somewhat changed now because Missouri is recreational. In Arkansas, it's medical. And in Missouri, if you're 21 or older, you can buy what you want. The revenue numbers from medical to recreational are about 6x. So it's a huge revenue boost. And they naturally, the government puts a little bit more tax on recreational than they do medical, because in theory, the medical is we're supposed to be helping someone deal with an ailment, cancer, glaucoma, whatever. And different states have different bars that you have to pass to even get a medical card. Some states it's super easy. I mean, it's almost any condition. And some states have restrictions on what qualifies, what a qualifying condition is. But they're using the revenue for again, supposedly they're using the revenue to assist in, drug abuse programs and trying to get, trying to help the schools, trying to help the police departments. And it has done a good thing by taking, an illegal, operation and turning it into something where people, everybody can benefit.
Right.
Presumably, everybody benefits from the taxation and the betterment of the community. So
that's awesome.
I would tell a story. My mother-in-law she lives with us, and she uses cannabis, medical marijuana. And when Arkansas passed it in 16, I think it was 16 or 17. I told her, I said she has a traumatic brain injury, so she had some, and then some back problems and stuff like that. And they had her on all types of pharmaceuticals, benzoids, opiates, all of them, right? And I said, Sheila, you have a grandson that's fixing to be born, and you can't do anything to get out of bed, and you're a slave to this pill. We need to try something. Let's try this medical marijuana. We went and got her a card. And in 2 weeks, she got off all the hard drugs. I mean, she literally takes nothing now other than 2 gummies a day. And she picks my son up from school, takes him to his karate lessons.
It's a game changer in a lot of situations. I mean, there's a lot of situations where people abuse it.
Yeah.
But people with MS, people with certain types of cancers, people with traumatic brain injury. I mean, like it makes a difference in their life, and that is clearly rewarding to see. I had reservations about doing it, and then again, the libertarian side of my mind kicked in. I'm like, I need to look at this a little bit harder, and I did, and we do, and it's a good business that is extremely controlled. That was one of my other concerns. Was like at our location, we got over 600 different SKUs, and so there's a lot of products that go through there. So the money, the product, all of that was a little bit of a concern, but it is so controlled with the software that we have seed to sell technology. So from when it's grown, it's serialized and all the way through the sales process, and so we track it all the way through from where we buy it from the cultivator to when we sell it to the customer. And so you get you have intense controls on the action. So that's good.
Wow. But I think what's going to happen here in the Bahamas is they're going to try to keep all of this industry. So they're only going to give it to a few people that are politically connected. And so it's not really going to benefit persons in general. I think. Okay, persons are trying to call me. The call-in lines today is 376-9234 or 821-9234. So the call-in line today is 376-9234 or 821-9234. That's what you got to call in today to get to talk to us. And so I have a serious problem with that. I think that we should have free market forces to determine who stays in business and who's in business, especially for something like that. Because the world needs what we have. You can imagine, genuine organic marijuana from the Bahamas. That's the good stuff.
Right.
And so I think that Canada needs it. A lot of people in America will need it. And I don't think that we should restrict it to just a few Bahamians.
Right.
They did that when they finally legalized the numbers business. All right. They legalized the numbers business in the Bahamas, and then they gave it to just a few politically connected persons, which isn't fair to anyone else who wants to get in the business. So we feel that the same thing is going to happen with marijuana, and we don't want that to happen because we want to empower all of our people.
So I think in Arkansas, at least, we kind of had something similar, right? At first, we were only allowed to have 10 dispensaries in the whole state.
There's 40 now. There are 38 operational.
Yeah, but I think they only originally gave out 10 licenses, and then that grew every year.
That's
right?
cultivators.
The cultivators.
Okay. So there was originally, it was 40 and 10.
Okay.
And I think all of the cultivators are online now. Maybe there's one that's not. But each U.S. state does it a little bit differently because their constitution, the state constitution, is what controls the fact that we're even doing this. And
It's
so
still legal federally.
So each state wrote their own rules. So some states have a lottery process where you put in an application. I put in an application. Ben puts in an application. Steve puts in an application to a zone, and they randomly select that license, and they say, Lincoln, you got a license, and then you can either put it in, or you can sell it, or you can say I don't want it, and then they would draw again. So that's one way to do it. And there's a merit-based system where you fill out you have a full presentation, like a very detailed, all the way through operating procedures, everything in your presentation, and you turn that in, and then a board evaluates those potential licensees, and then they award it based on merit. And so, what ended up happening is some of the bigger companies that we call multi-state operators that were professional riders. They had a standard, because the presentation is extremely thick, and you have to think out all of the processes in advance. And so the professional multi-state operators that went out and applied for all these licenses and then do a bad job of running them. And that's really what happened. There's good operators and bad operators and everything, but the people that seem to do the best job are the ones that are in the community and have a presence and have an effect. I mean, I don't live near my dispensaries, but we have local operators that are doing the job and are accountable to the community and accountable to what we're doing. And so that matters.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wanna segue back to Bitcoin and what's happening there. You've been in the Bahamas. You've seen the potential. We just got about 10 minutes left. What advice would you give to the people of the Bahamas and the government of the Bahamas as it relates to Bitcoin instead of central bank digital currencies, or to Bitcoin mining, et cetera, et cetera?
Always educate yourself. When I say that, get on YouTube. Follow guys that teach this all day long. That's how I got started, really. And just listen to people. If you find something you're interested in, if you're interested in Bitcoin, learn it. Make it a passion, and then advocate for yourself. That goes, like I said, with anything. As far as the government, CBDCs are just terrible. If you want to be a controlling, almost dictatorship, then follow CBDCs. If you want freedom and investment to really benefit the people that you're supposed to be serving, and bring in education, bring in guys to open up these natural resources that you have in the state, in the country, and offer that up for the betterment of your people, because that's what you're here for, is to better your people.
And I mean, that's the big thing, is that the education side is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that we're, that with the Blockchain Council, but my company specifically, we're working right now on educational videos that we can just communicate the basics. It's like I told Steve earlier. I mean, if in 15 minutes, if we can't have a dialogue and you don't understand the Bitcoin, I've done something wrong, because it's easy enough to do. You start with a primer, and you go get the Bitcoin Standard, and you read that book, and you listen to Michael Saylor, and you go find people that can talk intelligently and simply about it. And after that, it's like a light bulb goes on. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than flipping the switch for somebody and them going, oh, I got it. You know, I mean, it just it's a lot of fun to do. And I'm not saying that somebody should go invest all their money in Bitcoin.
Right.
I mean, I don't. That's not how I do it. I do have a significant investment in Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, and so I do believe, and it's, you know, but I don't, you know, I heard somebody say the other day, do you really want to be the dad that your kids look at you in 20 years and go, did you know about Bitcoin and you didn't do anything? And I was like, wow. I mean, that was powerful. I was like, I mean, you don't want to be the person that's standing on the sideline watching everybody go by and they bought Bitcoin and you didn't.
Our world's going to a digital economy.
For sure.
I mean, just take something like Fortnite, which is a video game that my kid plays, right? He hits me about every week for his allowance to buy some clothes or something on Fortnite, right?
I have the same problem.
Same problem. and we pay it because we love our kids. But, you know, I give him $20, and as long as he cleans his room.
And Robux.
From
Roblox.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're purchasing that, and he can't do anything with it, right? The next week he's coming back and saying the same thing. But on the blockchain, that could be traded from person to person as a token. And I use that example because my 6-year-old understands digital economy already just because of a video game he's playing.
Yeah.
Do you really think that in 15 years, 16 years, 20 years from now, we're going to be still trading a piece of paper that says, in God we trust on it
You could secure elections with blockchain.
Yeah, India already does that.
You could secure manifest lists they're already doing it. They're already securing manifest lists that for shipping companies. So I mean, it's already happening. It's just a matter of, do you want to participate and learn about the revolution or not? And
for me, get left behind.
You're going to get left behind.
Wow. And so you guys have been lobbying Congress in the U.S. How's that been going?
Yeah, so we've basically been doing it at our state level because we took the same standards as the marijuana industry. The marijuana industry tackled the states because you can spend a lot less and get a lot more accomplished at the state level than you are at the DC level. It's like we're talking about cannabis is still illegal at the federal level, but they're not going to enforce it because they don't have the manpower to really do it. Nor do they have the will. Well, I mean, they're not sending somebody to your door every day, right? Yeah. And the states have, under our Constitution, the right to make anything that's not in our Constitution. But in reality, they're not sending 50,000 agents out to knock on everybody's door in one state, right? So we're taking that same mindset at the state level and tackling state from state to do that, to not force, but to play a hand in making our federal government understand Bitcoin. Because if we can do it at the local level, we can get a lot more accomplished.
And I know the Chinese have started doing some mining in your area.
Yeah, we wrote a bill.
They're fixing style.
Yeah, we wrote a bill that so our governor.
You wrote the bill.
Yeah, us too. The Blockchain Council, 4 or 5 of us did, and we gave it to our politicians, and we got it passed. Where they're not allowed to own Bitcoin mines in Arkansas because the Chinese are coming in and
using our power.
Using our natural resources. Power is our natural resource, right? But we also did the same thing with our agricultural land. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's our governor, she was White House press secretary for Trump and his administration. Her dad was a former governor of our state. Banned them. Yeah, President Canada banned the Chinese from owning agricultural land. So this is I don't want to make it sound like we're against people, but we have to secure our own first before we allow somebody else to run in.
That doesn't mean that a Chinese individual can't own mines.
They just have to be a citizen.
They just can't own a mining operation. They can't own that, but they can own mines and run them in a site.
Right, as long as they're U.S. citizens, it doesn't matter the color of your skin or your creed, right? Like, as long as you're a U.S. citizen and think that you should be responsible enough and love your country enough to
Do right.
to do right, and that's the way we feel, and it should be that everywhere.
Wow. Listen, I really enjoyed this conversation. Looking forward to talking to you guys some more. We're out of time.
Love it.
But this was a wonderful conversation. What I want to do is educate the Bahamian people because ignorance is power. We want to make sure that the politicians don't have power over us. And sometimes we have to hear it from persons who come in the country because we don't believe it when we hear it from our own. And that's what we want to continue. It's so amazing when a foreigner comes to your country and they can see all the potential. And your politician keeps talking it down like, oh, there's nothing to see here. Don't worry about a hospital. Yeah, the people are dying. What do you want us to do? We don't have any money. And then sometimes if they're failing at something, they'll say, well, look at this country. They're failing too. And they'll bring up examples of other countries that are not doing good. And that's not the way forward.
That's right. No.
We want a Bahamas where Bahamians are first. All right. That doesn't mean we're not going to have immigrants. We're going to have a lot of immigrants coming to the Bahamas.
We're all immigrants.
Yeah, of course. We're going to have immigrants coming to our country, but we're going to own this country. And we're going to put ourselves first.
As you should.
And we're going to own this country. And we're going to have a country that benefits the Bahamian people. And we're going to partner with our foreign partners into making sure that we get everything that can benefit us. We're going to have a tourism industry that we own. We're not just going to be an advertising agency anymore. We are going to own our tourism industry. I mean, think about it. How stupid is it? I couldn't find a better word. I'm sorry. How stupid it is that in all these years, we couldn't think to own one cruise ship.
Yeah.
A lot of big ships in the port out there.
A lot
Yeah.
of big ships.
Yeah.
And we
I
own
take
none of
pictures
them.
all the time.
We own none of them. We don't own any of the major hotels. We don't own the casino, any of them. In our number 2 industry, we don't own one offshore bank. Bahamians don't own the offshore. That's our number 1 industry we don't have ownership in. Only the little side crumbs kind of situation, a little small Bonefish Lodge or the little services that supply them. But in the number 2 industry also, we're not allowed to own the offshore bank. Can you imagine that in our country?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they said in America, you can't, whatever our number 1 and number 2 industry is, you can't own it. Number 1 industry in America, I'm told, is farming. Imagine if agriculture, they said Americans can't do agriculture in America.
That would be a civil war.
Like in other countries, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, weapons is also weaponry, etc. is also one of their big industries. Imagine if they say Americans, you can't make weapons in this country, you can't make missiles and Halliburton, you got to shut that down.
That wouldn't work.
Yeah, and so this is the country we're living in, and this is why we're having the conversations with other persons from other countries, and hoping that they can talk to the Bahamians and say, listen, your whole system doesn't make sense. It should be revolved around you. But thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate you jumping in the jet to come to see me. We got to go sit down and talk to Trump, but you got to come pick me up.
Okay.
That's right.
You got to come pick me up in the jet and then take us to go see Trump. All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for calling in with your questions and your comments. We appreciate it. We're going to be live. Remember, every Sunday at 5 p.m. we are live, not just on social media, but also on Peace 107.5 FM.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, get that right. Peace 107.5 FM. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to have some more conversations about those things that is going on, all this scandal with the police and all this other stuff that's happening. We want you to know that SIB should not be the body investigating the corruption allegations of Michael Johnson, because SIB is the puppets of, I shouldn't say it that way. SIB is the bodyguards of the Prime Minister and the MPs. That's what they are. Therefore, they are the one branch that is controlled by the Prime Minister. How could you have them investigating this international embarrassment? They're controlled by them. Think about that. All right? So I just want you to know who SIB is. Also, they said they're bringing in Scotland Yard because they can't bring in the FBI because the FBI won't investigate it because they're already investigating the situation that's going on. All right. Scotland Yard has no ability to arrest and question anyone. So how are they going to investigate? All right. We're going to talk about that some more this week. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. Steve, thank you for having us. We appreciate it. We're going to see you next Sunday at 5 p.m. God bless you. I love the Bahamas. This land is our land. This land is your land. From Grand Bahama down to Inagua, from the Berry Islands all across to Miguana. This land was made for you and me. See you next time.
And we want to thank as well Steve Landers from Florida, and of course Ben Smith from Arkansas. Two Americans who are here today talked a lot of stuff about a lot of things that we need to know. Let's make use of this whole situation. All right? Good.